Coming up on the bottom line, we're talking to Nilay Patel about Apple's patent drama.
Save time and money by skipping business trips and using GoToMeeting. Visit gotomeeting.com/techpodcast and get 30 days for free.
Apple's suing HTC over a number of patents related to the iPhone, including several that have to do with the UI. Nilay, you wrote an excellent piece on Engadget breaking down Apple's patents. First off, do you think Apple has a case against HTC?
Yeah. I mean, the people who think that Apple has a case against HTC are Apple's lawyers. This isn't like Steve Jobs and Phil Schiller had a couple drinks and decided to bash some heads. This is a litigation strategy, and they've got these patents. Some of them are really old. One of them is from 1995, all the way until last month. One of them was granted on February 2nd. And getting that many patents over that span of time, when the patent office has changed, it's changed the rules of how you get patents, how specific you need to be to get a patent granted. Having that many patents over that many years suggests at least some of them are going to be held valid. And it remains to be seen what is in HTC's devices and what is in Android, because a lot of the patent claims have to do with Android. But the patents themselves, when you have that many, at least some of them are going to be valid. And so on that level, Apple has a case.
Yeah, and it looks like they're really gunning for Android. I mean, do you think this lawsuit is just Apple testing the waters before going after Google? Or does Apple really just hate HTC for some reason?
I don't know if it's real smart for Apple to go after Google. And honestly, I think they sued HTC because HTC is a relatively new company. They're a relatively new player, new major player. They don't have a huge patent portfolio like you would assume Google would have. Motorola has been around for 100 years. Their patent portfolio is it'll fill a room. If Apple sues Motorola over the Droid, it's going to get hit right back with a major patent lawsuit, which is kind of like what we see with Apple and Nokia, right? It's two companies with huge patent portfolios just kind of going at each other. With HTC, it's a little different. I mean, it really feel like HTC is the weak link in the chain here, and Apple can attack kind of a major Android player without having to engage actually directly with Google.
Well, let's assume Apple actually wins its case and all its patents are enforceable. And since Google and Apple aren't really getting along, do you think that Google will actually end up licensing some of these patents, or do you think they would try something radical like redesigning Android?
That's a great question. Apple and Google, they work together. They're together on a lot of projects. Apple always says, we're partners and we're competitors. If you look at something like Apple's relationship with Microsoft, they don't sue each other a whole lot. They tend to cross-license their patents, that would be, I think, the smarter strategy for all parties involved here, because again, Google has a large patent portfolio of its own, and which is probably the reason, again, why Apple didn't directly sue Google. How it's actually going to play out, though, I would caution every listener and viewer of TechV, if they hear somebody say they know how this is going to play out, to immediately discount that person as a fool. We're 1 day after a filing. I guarantee you, HTC's lawyers haven't even fully digested the complaint yet. We're at least several weeks, if not several months, away from a response from HTC, and we are at least a year away from the first inkling of a resolution to this case. So as of right now, I don't know how it's going to play out. What I would like to have happen, I'd like everyone to enter into a cross-licensing agreement and move on with their lives.
Do you think this can have any implications for any other smartphones? Should Palm be worried? You just said Motorola shouldn't be, considering they have their own patent portfolio. Should Palm be panicking, or what do you think they should be doing?
The thing with Palm is that Palm doesn't really matter. I love Palm. I have a pre-plus here. I think it's great. But Palm is not currently a threat to Apple. And Palm also has a lot of patents of its own. Palm has been around for a long time. Palm has created a lot of smartphone technology and a lot of smartphone paradigms that we think about as being really standard now. And they're Palm ideas, and they have patents on them. And so I think this is one of those situations where you have to assume that it's been a year since Apple and Palm first got into it, and I wrote a long piece on Apple and Palm a year ago. You have to assume that their lawyers have talked. That John Rubinstein and Steve Jobs have like had a phone call in that time, and they've sorted out what they need to do. They have a cross-licensing agreement. I don't think these companies are all huge, and they all have huge legal departments internally, and they all retain gigantic law firms externally. And they don't just walk around with patents hoping, people don't jump out of the dark and stab them, right? That's like not the world they live in. They're always kind of talking to each other, and they're always trying to negotiate more favorable positions for themselves with their patent portfolios. So, should Palm be worried? Yeah, it should be worried in the same way that every big company should be worried. For HTC, I think it was really more, Apple's like, we have these patents, we're sort of worried about Android. HTC is the easiest target for us to go after.
I think we're out of time. Thanks to Nilay Patel from Engadget. That was very, very informative. I'm Ayaz Akhtar, and thanks for watching.
Thanks for having me.